he was kind of clowning in that fight famously, and Chris Weidman had a vicious left hook, knocked him out, and then they fought a second time. He broke his leg on Chris Weidman,
Right, that's right.
and after that fight, he was kind of never the same because that leg break injury, which Conor McGregor had, there's quite a few fighters. Weidman actually wound up having the same injury. Ironically, there's only been like
you're never the same because you can't.
Never the same. Well, you can. Weidman is still kicking with that leg. You can, but psychologically, when you throw a kick and your leg snaps in half and you're in agony for a year, right? You have to get surgery, you have to get bolts and plates to keep your leg together, and then it takes forever for it to heal.
It always amazed me how the kicker. I mean, you have those cases, but the kicker will do tremendous damage to somebody's leg, but their leg doesn't seem to get damaged, isn't it?
It does get damaged. It hurts
more than you.
Yeah, but your shin, your shin gets very numb after a while. And guys that are really good kickers, they're kicking the thigh and they're kicking the calf, they're kicking soft areas, and they're slamming this hard, numb shin. Right. And their shin gets all these like micro fractures all over the shin, and it calcifies. Oh, wow. Like these guys can kick baseball bats. You ever seen them break baseball bats with their shins? No, it's crazy. Some guys can do 2 baseball bats. Someone will hold the baseball bat and they just kick right through them.
But I want your enthusiasm now, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's why you're good at it. That's why nobody does this better. Without the enthusiasm, forget it.
Well, it has to be authentic like that. I mean, the only reason why I do MMA commentaries is I'm very interested in it for real. I don't have to manufacture it. I'm very interested. So I love
going in there after the fight and they're sweating all over you.
I love to be a rock and roll commentator.
Does it bother you a little bit? Yeah, like 2 weeks ago with the guy I never saw him.
No, Roundtree, yeah.
More stuff came out of his nose.
Yes, it was very nasty, but no, I'm very used to it. I just wanted him to be able to express himself.
You've done a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. So back to you, and back to what are you? And first of all, I love this idea of you teaming up with Robert Kennedy, and I love this "Make America Healthy Again" idea because there are chemicals and ingredients that are in our food that are illegal in other countries because they've been shown to be toxic. There's pesticides and herbicides, and there's a lot of shit that's been sprayed on our food that really is unnecessary. And there's a lot of health consequences that people are suffering from a lot of these things. And
look at this chart for you.
Beautiful.
Because I had a feeling you'd be asking. Look at this chart. These are healthier countries. Look what the United States is. I'm going to send this to RFK Jr.
So this is, something along the, I was actually talking to RFK today, and he told me that more than 70% of young men are ineligible for the military because of their health.
I could see it.
That's crazy.
A lot of it's obesity.
So here's the life expectancy versus health expenditure.
Same chart.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
USA.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Jay's the best.
He's very good.
He's the best.
But look at that. Look at the USA.
It's not good. And that's our food. That's our diet. That's that sedentary lifestyle. That's our diet. That's the chemicals we ingest. That's what that is.
But RFK is going to be very, I think he's a great guy.
I love the fact that you guys teamed up.
Yeah,
and are you completely committed to have him a part of your administration?
Oh, I am. But the only thing I want to be a little careful about with him is the environmental. Because, he doesn't like oil. I love oil and gas. I think
just keep him out of that.
To fire. So I'm going to sort of keep him out. I said, focus on health. You can do whatever you want. But I got to be a little bit careful with the liquid gold,
I understand. But listen, there's plenty of good work that could be done if you focus on health.
Here's the one that my all-time favorite.
What is that?
See the arrow right here? That's what I left.
Do you have anyone that is pressuring you to not work with him? Have there been people
that work with you?
RFK Jr.
Yes.
Yes, I would imagine. Because
I would say that, and I think in many ways they've done a good job. In many ways they've done a bad job. But I would say that the Big Pharma wasn't thrilled when they heard that, I've actually always gotten along very well with him. I've known him a long time. He's a different kind of a guy. He's a very smart, great guy. And he's very sincere about this. I mean, he really is, he thinks we spend a fortune on pesticides and all this stuff. And then you end up with that chart is a terrible chart. The one previous, it's such a bad chart when you look at where we are compared to other countries that don't spend 10 cents.
Right.
So, and you save a lot of money. But I've had some people that aren't exactly thrilled. You can imagine, right?
Sure.
It's a good question, actually.
Well, certainly if there
it
have
doesn't
been
affect me.
Some pharmaceutical drugs that have been prescribed that have negative consequences that these people have been profiting off of, and then you have a guy like RFK Jr. who spends an enormous amount of time highlighting those things, you could say how they've been very reluctant to have you support him.
I would say that's an understatement.
Yeah. So what do you do to stop that from getting in the way?
Well, look, they've come up with some amazing things. I mean, I don't know how you feel. I know you're against the certain vaccines, but like the polio vaccine, people had polio, it was like a disaster. And they came up, Dr. Salk, they came up with a vaccine and there's no polio. Now, very interesting, there hasn't been polio, but now in the Gaza Strip, can you believe that? Have you heard that? There's been a big strain of polio coming out in the Gaza Strip.
Is it vaccine-derived polio? Because, there's a strain of polio that comes directly from the vaccine, because unfortunately sometimes we vaccinate people for polio.
I haven't heard that, yeah. I mean, all I can do is I sit down and I listen to him, and I'll give it a total. I would love him to be right. Because if he's right, it's a lot less expensive generally.
There's 2 things that people point to when they point to the dangers of the pharmaceutical drug industry. One thing is when pharmaceutical drugs were allowed to advertise on television. We're only one of 2 countries in the world that allow pharmaceutical drugs to advertise on TV. The other one's New Zealand, but they're more restricted than we are. People
those ads when you hear take a certain drug,
and then you hear all
and
the
then you say
consequences.
It causes cancer and baldness. We don't like baldness.
Suicidal
and this and that and eyesight, and you can lose your vision.
Yeah.
I actually asked one of these guys.
I almost did Horatio.
Go through a whole list. I guess they save some liability, but man, I said, does that affect the purchase? Or they say it really does.
Horatio UK.
There's something you have and you read, and then they go through the list of.
I'm kind of following it, but I just
I mean, a lot of people. I asked that question. People hear that. When I hear it, I'm going to take a pass. It said, may affect your vision, may cause blindness.
Yes. But I know you're aware of Callie and Casey means, right?
Yes.
Well, one of the things that they pointed out, and this is a very important thing for people to understand, is what a lot of these drugs